The circle of life is a symbolic representation of birth, survival, death, and renewal. And it's a reality that is foundational to our daily lives and our very existence. We see exquisite manifestations of this in the changing of the seasons and the daily revolution. In the seasons, the days go from long and warm to short and cold, and then back again. Everything is reborn in winter as light returns to the living. Waking up and blossoming in spring, the season of new growth and hope, and coming to full consummation in the regal glow of summer. In the fall, we come face to face with the uninterrupted change that we've taken for granted. As the season of transformation turns the leaves' colors, the temperature colder, and the days shorter, preparing us for winter. Each day itself is a glorious opera in the grand theater of life on earth. With the sunrise announcing the beginning of the day with brilliant magnificence, and the sunset, a soul-stirring symphony instilling appreciation and inspiring gratitude. The moon is exalted and the stars take the stage, crowning the circle with their revelation of awe and wonder. We usually think of the circle of life through the life cycles of other living things. You might catch a glimpse of it seeing an egg hatch, or a bee pollinating a flower, watching plants grow, envisioning the water cycle, witnessing the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly, or seeing a predator stalking its prey. Insects, plants, and animals, things eating or being eaten. We think about it as something we are viewing from the outside. We observe it remotely, encounter it digitally, experience it impersonally, and participate in it abstractly. We tend to think of ourselves as being separate from nature, untouched by its wildness and immune to its dangers. With the earth being little more than a collection of resources for our consumption, and nature merely spectacles for our own entertainment. Amongst the greatest of these spectacles is the Sierra Redwood, also known as the giant sequoia. Growing to over 300 feet tall, and so big around that to stretch around the base of one of these mammoth monuments would take you and everyone you love joining hand to hand. Massive and majestic, the giant sequoia confounds the mind and crashes the senses. A spectacular prehistoric masterpiece. The giant sequoia dwarfs the human being in size, lifespan, presence and profound visceral impact. Looking up at this ancient behemoth, I consider how the circle of life might look from the sequoia's perspective. Most of these giants were already thousands of years old when they had a front row seat for the California gold rush. From their groves along the western slope of the mighty Sierra Nevada. Most of these living legends are old enough to have witnessed the entire history of Western civilization. But the sequoia is a young buck compared to its neighbor, the ancient bristlecone pine. On the other side of the Sierras, across the Owens Valley, the White Mountains are home to the oldest trees we have discovered. With some of these revered elders dated at over 5,000 years old, the fullness of recorded human history has been theirs to behold. I wonder how the circle of life looks from their point of view. Think of the newborn babies they've seen grow old. Birthdays, anniversaries, year in, year out. A young boy being taught to fish by his grandfather, becoming a grandfather himself, teaching his grandson how to fish. They've seen young love mature, newlyweds grow into elderly couples. They've seen those mourning becoming those mourned. Thriving civilizations become ancient ruins. Here in these mountains, absorbing carbon and producing oxygen for thousands of years. Keepers of past secrets and sentinels for the future. Watching human beings come and go, generation after generation. The oldest among them have been here for every life, every birth, every death, dating back to the earliest days of recorded human history. We generally see the circle of life played out in the living and dying of other things. Thinking of the rest of the living world as merely a food chain, with humans at the top of a list of objects for us to dominate, manipulate, sell, or eat. But we aren't separate. And we're not just bound together by a shared living space or common resources. Human beings are fundamentally interconnected with the earth and with all its living lives. We are all naturally allied in existence, united in life, with every body and every being. We have an organic connection with all of the alive. We are made of the same chemicals as the giant sequoia and the ancient bristlecone pine. The same atoms that compose the stars and constellations of the cosmic playhouse. Every breath you take is a sacred ceremony, a testament of our connection to the inseparable spirit of nature. in the circle of life, every death is a sacrifice for the living. Death is not the end of life, but the endless reality propelling it all along. The ever-present imperative that creates a space for sacrifice and a time for transformation. The birth of the butterfly depends on the death of the caterpillar. The snow must melt for the river to flow. Each expression of life, every plant, animal, every human, every being, every entity, every organism, dying so that life may continue. Every death is an offering, a transformation, a sacrifice for the living. Continuing on in the infinite drama that is the circle of life.